first, I want to hope everybody out there is remaining healthy, busy, and sane. This is a very unusual time to conduct business. It's almost business unusual, so to speak. And with my experience in crisis management, crisis coaching, from a small scale where an athlete is injured and is out and is itching to get back and their whole life is turned upside down, to dealing with companies and people during the 9/11 crisis, back in 2001, and those other type of situations, a financial crisis, it makes us feel like the world is basically falling apart. So the way I really want to handle this today, because I'm going to be covering different types of subjects matter, is to kind of break it down into sections, and maybe we'll do a section, even if you have a question about that particular section, we can answer that question. Then, basically we can move on from that. The one thing that I cannot help you with, and I just saw a question pop up, I am not able to, or I'm not an expert to advise you on getting loans on the 1099 through the stimulus package. One thing I've learned is I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I don't confuse the two. So any questions you may have regarding loans and stimulus package programs, speak to the right people. Maybe your accountant may be a better person to address that. Certainly not on. So let's start initially. Before this happened, we were running business as usual. We were on a track. We were on a plan. Things were going the way we were adjusting. We have acquiring clients. Whatever business you're in, business is always about acquiring and taking care of your business, your clients, or your customers. That's the goal. Without any customers, without any clients, we end up, with no business. I don't care what kind of product or service you offer. You need people to purchase and engage with you. And all of a sudden, this thing happened, and now it's like, what do I do? The most important thing about being in business, this is from my own businesses that I ran and from the people that I coach and I actually learn from, and these are some of the top entrepreneurs in the country, is the key to pivot. Business, as much as you wanted to make it a routine, and we love routines because routine gives us this sense of certainty, which I'm going to hit a little bit further on. We got to learn how to pivot, and you pivot every single day. And the way that you pivot is you follow three basic steps. A, E, P. The first thing is accept the situation. A lot of times we build in false hope. This will only be a week. This will only be 2 weeks. I don't have to change anything. I'm just going to take a step back. I'll work on my books. I'll work on my, things around the house. But I'm just going to really just, wait it out. It's really the wrong thing to do because you're having false hope. And false hope will paralyze you. And if you don't pivot and change and look at things that you can do now, although they may be different, you're going to get screwed. You're going to be left behind. So first is we have to accept the situation. We must say that this is not going to go back tomorrow. Hopefully sooner than later, and it will pass. But we're not going to wake up to the office. We're not going to go back to the office and we're back to our stores or back to whatever we do and say, boom, we're back. There's like a 2-week vacation, 4-week vacation. So after you accept it, now you have to evaluate. You need to evaluate really what's your options? Where's the crease in the opportunities? What did I do before that I can't do that I can start doing now? And we're going to discuss that a little bit as well. Some ideas that my clients have started to do and use and has been very, very positive, and the response has been great. And then the third thing is after you evaluate it, you have to then pivot. You can't, think about it too long. You pivot. Sometimes you got to pivot once, twice, 3, then you go pivot twice again. You got to keep pivoting. It's like a basketball player. That lane is closed up. I got to pivot and go around the guy. And that's what we really need to do. As entrepreneurs and business owners that you are, which I imagine the majority of you are, or you're in a situation where you're managing a whole bunch of people, pivoting is part of just who you are. If you can't pivot and you're just going to be on track, you're going to get stuck and you're going to dig deeper and deeper in that track, and then you're going to be really in bad shape. So accept, evaluate, and pivot. So let's talk about the pivoting part. Let's talk about the things we can be doing, both for our heads mentally and for our business as far as helping our business. One of the most important things that we have to understand is the difference between a satisfied client and a loyal client. I think it's fair to say that all of us out there truly want to have a loyal client. In fact, referrals, in fact, repeat business, that all comes from loyal clients. And the way you build loyalty, the little ingredient that creates a satisfied client to a loyal client is one ingredient. And it's a very powerful ingredient. It's a human need. And it's called significance. I think you all have experienced this. You know, you go out for dinner, you go to one restaurant, the food is fine, the price is fair, the service was fine, everything was fine. They didn't really make you feel significant. They didn't make you feel bad. It was just a good experience. You were satisfied. But, you know, are you going to recommend the place? Are you going to tell your friends about it? I'm not so certain. You go to a second restaurant, and they really make you feel special. They come over, they, you know, maybe give you a glass of wine for free. The owner comes over, they get to meet you. You feel really like, wow, I feel very important. I feel significant. That's the restaurant you're going to refer. That's the restaurant you're going to talk about. And it's really important that we understand the power of significance, especially when it comes to business. I think in personal lives, in our personal relationships, we understand significance. In fact, significance is the number one reason why relationships fall apart. A person no longer feels significant, and then that's what they're missing, and that's what they need. So it's a great opportunity right now to help develop significance with your client base. If you're in a kind of business that has, you know, past clients, nothing is better. And I recommend this to every single one of my clients, and every single one of my clients have, you know, done it, and they've said, wow, I cannot believe it. Reach out, either text or phone call to every single one of your clients. Hey, how you doing? Just checking in on you. I don't care if it's a client from a year ago, a month ago, or 2 years ago. You are going to see, and you're going to be so pleasantly surprised with the outpouring response back. Now, some people may not respond. That's okay. But you're going to find that people are going to respond. And then next thing you know, you're going to have a great conversation. It's not about business. It's just about connecting and feeding a little significance onto the relationship. You know, we have to understand that the average person in the New York area especially probably spends about 2 to 3 waking hours a day in their home. They're running to work, going to the gym, going out for dinner, taking trips, doing business trips, going on vacations, going to ball games, shows, et cetera, et cetera. Now people are spending, obviously, you know, 8, 10, 12 waking hours a day in their home, and they have a lot of time. And when they have a lot of time, they're not rushed to say, let me get through this conversation so I can get to my next thing. In fact, they're probably getting a little tired of the person who is, you know, across from them, and maybe they want to have somebody else to talk to. Remember, we are social animals. We are social creatures. I studied behavioral science. I did some work years ago with the FBI in that, so I definitely understand the human condition and how we respond. We need to feel connected. This is the hardest part about the stay-at-home and somewhat self-isolation, is it's really tough to feel that connection. Zoom is great. You know, social media is great, but it's not the same as sitting and really being across from somebody. And that's why when you know, and Aaron will say, you know, that's a great thing to do is, you know, when I meet with Aaron, we meet in person. We try to meet in person because you get a lot more out of it. And I get that. Now you can, so definitely create something along that lines of reaching out to past clients at absolute best. Next thing that you want to do is social media. Once again, I know maybe some people are involved in social media, a little bit, a lot, a medium, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to give you some social media tips. The most important thing to do with social media is be present. Once again, people are now sitting on their couches, and now they're paying attention to social media more than ever before. And the reason is there's nothing else to do. And, you know, they're getting tired of the news. They see that. You know, there's only so much news they could watch in a day before they start getting depressed. Netflix, you know, they got their shows, but, you know, they want to have some distractions. People love distractions. So post on social media. Be careful. You got to be sensitive. These are sensitive times. And so when it's sensitive times, you must understand that your posting must be a little bit toned down than your normal business posting. And so you really want to put in there, you know, being this time, uncertain times, we're here for you. We're thinking about our past clients or all our clients or the community or the area that we serve. And then maybe throw a tip. Hey, did you know? On social media, a question, by the way, is a lot more engaging than a statement. So if you do a post with "Did you know," people are engaged more. No, what didn't I know? It increases the curiosity. So far, so good. You know, we got it pretty clear. So post more on social media. I just saw somebody said they do 45-second videos. That's a tremendous idea. That's another thing that I would definitely recommend. So you want to start doing videos. Start sending messages out to your client base. Now, you can do that via social media or through email, okay? And that's another great thing that you could do. Another very important thing to do, and I know Aaron and I had a conversation the other day, and I know he's working on this, and everybody should be working on this. Work on the housekeeping of your business. If you have a client base and they're not in one type of CRM or database, do that now. If you were putting together a newsletter with some type of marketing collateral and it was kind of haphazard, focus on that now. You know, I'll tell you a story. I sent my son to sleepaway camp. My youngest son, he's 13 years old. And every year when you go back to the camp, they always improve. They always add something on. Probably because they have to, you know, validate the increased cost of sleepaway camp. But anyhow, when they do the improvements, they don't do the improvements during the summer. They do the improvements during the off season. And this is sort of like a little bit of our off season. And our off season really is about making sure that the things that we're always running and doing, we're doing. So definitely focus on getting your marketing material getting better. Get your social media up and running. Make sure that's better. If you want to get an idea of what kind of social media you should be doing, there's 3 basic things that you really want to focus on, because the purpose of social media is to help your branding. Now, one question I ask when I speak to a group of people or I speak to a client, could you please tell me what branding is? And the reality is people have ideas of what branding is, to be recognized, to kind of, you know, be familiar. But let's really understand what branding is. Branding is called perception management. People make decisions on their perception, not on their reality. And we have to understand that and be able to compel people by showing the right perception. Does that make sense to everybody? So let's understand the perception, the 3 most important things that compel people. Number 1, busy and successful. People are attracted to busy and successful businesses. A perfect example I'll give you is you're walking down the street and there's 2 restaurants and you don't know this area, it's a new area, and one restaurant is packed and one restaurant is empty. Which restaurant do you think is the better restaurant? Human behavior says the packed restaurant, if that's what everybody would answer. Now, the reality is we don't know that. We don't know if that is actually the better restaurant, but that's the way the human mind works. So anything that's busy and successful is compelling to say that you must be a safe place to work with. So it's very important to promote that you're busy and successful within a way that is appropriate, especially during this time. The second important thing to understand that in perception is knowledgeable. Now, knowledgeable doesn't have to be just knowledgeable about your business. If you're an accountant that's not knowledgeable about the tax laws, it could be knowledgeable about people. You know, I know people come and they're always nervous about their taxes, but I'm always here to help them. That's knowledgeable about people. It's not knowledgeable about your subject matter. You know, with Aaron, for example, being in the construction business, it could be, you know, when I deal with people, I always understand their uncertainty when we start a job, how it's going to turn out. I know my first thing I always want to do is make them feel comfortable and certain that everything's going to go fine. Again, that's the knowledge base of how to handle people, not just the knowledge base of your specific specialty. Try to say that 5 times fast. So the reality is that's what people want to see. So far we have busy and successful is number 1, knowledgeable is number 2, and the knowledge is across the board. And the third most important thing is authenticity. Let's get to know a little bit about you. Let's get to see that you're a real authentic person. You know, when business people use social media, they tend to use it incorrectly. So that there's no strategy or perception strategy, if you will, on how to post things to really create that perception. Maybe there's too much business stuff. Maybe there's too much personal stuff. It's not a good mix. So authenticity is really more personal stuff that is professional personal, okay? Not personal personal, but professional personal. If the people that you are, that are in your social media sphere can be potential clients or referral people, you must treat them more as a business relationship than a personal relationship. So showing yourself at a party getting drunk, I do not recommend. Okay, even though you say, wow, all my friends are going to love this. You have to think this is the camera is on you 24/7. Which was a great lesson I learned many years ago when I had the opportunity to sit and meet with Tony Robbins, and we had a one-on-one. And, you know, we were sharing little tips back and forth. And one of the tips that he gave me is, Gary, make believe you're walking around with the camera on you 24/7 and act as if people are watching you. And you just see how you're going to transform in the way you carry yourself, you know, even at the store, because you don't know who you're going to run into and who you're going to see. And it was a really great lesson, especially after the fact that the week before that, I was at some dance club and a client of mine saw me there, and I was sort of embarrassed. I wasn't, you know, crazy, but you get the idea. So you just really want to conduct it. All the social media outlets are cameras on you, and it's a reflection of you. And that you always have to have top of mind the perception that you really want to put out, and make sure they understand that. So again, if you want as a rule of thumb, it's one personal listing, one personal post about yourself, and then to every 2 or 3 business posts or knowledgeable business posts. So it's 1-to-3 ratio is generally, you know, a good ratio that keeps you professionally in front with some authenticity underneath. Okay, got it? So far, so good? Good. So again, social media is a great time right now to focus on doing social media posts and starting doing things like that. Work on newsletters, get those things together. Make sure your CRM is set up. When you reach out to past clients, you can confirm their email address and, you know, hey, why you got to the phone? This is your same email address, right? Yeah, good. Okay. Whatever services that you offer, I don't care what it is. One thing you can't do is do not assume that what you thought a person's needs were or desire to engage were before this is the same. I have a lot of clients who are in real estate, some of the top real estate brokers in New York City. And, you know, they're getting calls from people out of the blue that they wouldn't think they would hear from, because these people say, I need to get a bigger apartment. I need to get out of New York City. I need to get outdoor space. I think we can all appreciate that. But that really goes more than just real estate. That really goes into all areas of our business and all areas, whatever you may do. People have questions. People have concerns. And again, what we're looking for from you out there in the business world is whatever your expertise is, it's a way to help solve some pain if a person has a pain point. So be available and put yourself out there. So far, so good. I'm just going to stop for a moment, catch my breath. Does anybody out there have any thoughts, questions? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Are you doing some of this stuff? Just give me some, if you can, some feedback on what we covered so far.
And if you have any questions, just raise the hand. You'll see that in the icon under managed participants.
All right, so this is some basic common sense stuff, and we're probably doing some of that, but I just want to make it top of mind. Okay, I'm catching up with the acceptance still. I don't quite understand what that means.
The universe somewhat tell us to slow down a little bit, so I have welcomed a little bit of that pause. I feel too much pressure in having to keep up with everything, and I caught myself wanting to take a Xanax because of it. So right now I'm accepting as to what's happening, while in the back of my brain I'm giving ideas, birthing ideas of how I market myself moving forward.
Good. Okay. So this is the time to create in your mind, to stop and take a step back and start thinking. That is actually a very valuable thing, okay? Because creativity happens when we remove all need to, all pressure to perform today. You got to let your mind open, and that's absolutely true. And you actually gave me a great segue to my second point, and that's scheduling. I am not a kind of coach that is an accountability coach. My clients are pretty accountable to themselves. They want to achieve. They have bills to pay. They have a business to run. I'm not a babysitter kind of coach. If people need that, that's great. There's other places. But during this time, we have to understand something. The number one human need that everybody has is a need for certainty. And when things are uncertain, it really kind of throws us off our game, off our platform. And I want to just touch base about certainty versus uncertainty. Uncertainty creates feelings like anxiety, fear, stress, lack of confidence, depression. Those are signs of uncertainty. On the flip side, certainty creates a sense of well-being, calmness, being in control, feeling a can-do attitude. That is the sign of certainty. So the reality is that we can get caught up on just two platforms to live on. You can live on the platform of uncertainty, or you can live on the platform of certainty. The reality is the COVID-19 virus is not the most contagious thing out there in this world. The most contagious thing out there in this world is uncertainty. And uncertainty will spread like wildfire. And you can see that's what's happening. The news is making us feel more uncertain. It's focusing on certain aspects, and there's a reason for it. And unfortunately, the deaths and the sickness. So that's just feeding our uncertainty. Our uncertainty about our business and our life and our paying our bills and being around is adding to it. So we are being inundated with massive doses of uncertainty. And if it doesn't affect you, you're not human. So you got to learn, how can you counteract that? The way you deal with uncertainty, the only way to deal with uncertainty is to counteract it with another platform of certainty. If by focusing on the uncertainty and try to understand why you're uncertain, does not do anything, it doesn't help. You must counteract it by saying, let me do things that are certain. What gives us a sense of certainty is control, or a perception of control. And a lot of things are happening that are out of our control. I think it's fair to say. And from a mental perspective, the one thing that we can do to give ourselves a control is to set a schedule every single day. Now, let me explain this to you, okay? Let me just, I thought my cat wanted to get out of the room. I apologize. We're all kind of pivoting here. Let me talk about schedules. Most business people have what I call a schedule on demand. So basically, If you go, tomorrow, you say, if this is normal business as usual, you see, gee, what projects do I have? Do my clients need? Who do I got to call to get this? Who do I got to call to do that? What things do I have to set up? And it's very situational, day by day by day. In fact, when you run a business, sometimes overscheduling is the worst thing you can do as far as scheduling your tasks, because things always come up every single day, and I think we all experience that. So you always got to pivot and shift when it comes to things along that nature. Well, the problem is that there is no real demand that is happening right now, because everything in business has slowed down. Even if your business is busy and you're doing things, it's still not at the pace or the freedom that you're used to doing it. So everything has toned down. So what we're going to have to do is kind of go back to school, and this is what I mean. What has been very, very helpful and proven throughout scientific studies is let's do what we did in school. And when we were in high school, we had first period, second period, third period, fourth period. Each period was 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. And every day have a schedule. So first period number 1, reach out to past clients. Period number 2, start thinking or working on marketing, campaigns. Period number 3, research your business field. If you're if you're a dentist, construction, restaurant, whatever it is, really study a little bit more about it. Find out who's successful. Find out why they're successful. You don't really have time to do that, and you can learn. The best way to become successful is learn from success. Another period you can do is I call video lab, and basically, making videos for social media, making videos for showing your knowledge to social media or email blasts is great, but doing it lousy isn't so good. So video lab is just practice doing videos. Don't worry about posting it or sending it out. Just do videos just to get yourself comfortable doing videos. And then when you get comfortable enough, you can search online on Google Play or whatever to find out video editing video editing things or things like that could really help. Get more comfortable with technology. This is going to change. Zoom is going to change the way we do business, where maybe we won't be as traveling around and meeting clients face to face. We may be doing a little more Zoom calls with them. So we're going to see what happens there. So there's examples of some periods that you should have every single day. I will say from a mental perspective that if you're working from your home, which I imagine all of us are, when you start your day, after you get up in the morning, you make your bed. Yes, make your bed. Believe it or not, that's a huge difference. And then what you want to do is before you start your school day or business school day, take a walk outside. These are called separators. We must separate our personal morning to work. It's called a separator. If you just, get out of bed and you don't, do anything and you just kind of, yes, you have to brush your teeth, eat your breakfast or whatever, you watch the news and you just kind of, you're not dressed, you just kind of go into your little office space and you start doing work. It changes you're carrying over that personal stuff into your business, and it kind of creates a different type of approach. So what you really want to do is create separators during your day. And a separator will be in the morning, before you start your day, and then, lunchtime, you walk around the block, come back, eat lunch, walk around the block, or walk 5 minutes, come back, get some fresh air, and then start your afternoon business stuff. And then when you're end of the day, back to work, close the business door, and then you have your personal time. It is so important to do right now. Before, in my past businesses that I ran many different types of businesses. I really, when I had my business at home and I worked out of my house, I had to do that on a consistent basis because otherwise everything gets crazy. Everything gets, everything just mushes together. Personal morning, afternoon, whatever. You don't shave, you don't shower. Get dressed every day, shower every day, work out every day, get exercise, eat healthy. All those things are tremendously important. So having a schedule like that and a 45-minute period, and why I say 45 minutes is that the human mind really has trouble focusing more than an hour. It is shown that when we are in any kind of seminar or class or anything along that lines, once it goes past an hour, our ability to comprehend, absorb, and focus drops tremendously. And I think we've all experienced, if we ever went to those all-day seminars, and then after, you know, an hour, we kind of zone out, we come back up, we zone out, we come back up, and we get a couple of things out of it. And that's because the human mind is great, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and it needs a break. So that 45 minutes on one subject, then another subject, and another subject. You're developing, this is period number one, that's all I'm gonna focus on. And if you do it every single day, you're not gonna feel the pressure to accomplish everything completely. What I find most entrepreneurs to be is they're not necessarily perfectionists, but they are what's called completionists. And what a completionist is a person that feels they got to complete a project or complete a task to reach their goal. If not, they feel they failed. And that's why, you know, entrepreneurs will stay late to finish a project or work crazy hours and push themselves, because it's not, they realize it doesn't have to always be perfect. But they're completionists. This is what I want to do. I want to complete it and get it done. Well, that's great, but the downside is that you're micro focused on one small task, and there's a lot of different things we got to handle. So if you chunk it down into small little categories, which we call periods, it's much easier to do. So that is a really key situation. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me let my cat out of my room. Come here. Let's go. Thank you for that pause. This is pivoting when you're working at home and you have animals. Certainty versus uncertainty. When people say, what is the value you bring to your clients? There's only one answer: certainty. People are coming to you because they have uncertainty about something. And your job and what your value is, to choose you, somebody else, your competitor, for one reason. You give them the highest amount of certainty. That's all you sell. Aaron doesn't sell, Bornstein doesn't sell construction services. He sells certainty. People do not make rational decisions. We only make emotional decisions. Perception is emotional. People are not qualified to determine how good you are, how smart you are, how much you know. But we're more than qualified to determine how you make me feel. And if you could imagine that you're lost and you're asking one person for directions and the person sounds a little wishy-washy, well, maybe you go here, or maybe you should go there, and maybe you should go that way. Most likely you're going to ask somebody else for directions. If they say, oh, 2 blocks down, make a left, and you'll see it right there. Which of those 2 people are you going to listen to? So the person that gives us the most certainty is the person that gets our business. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a doctor, dentist, lawyer, coach, retail business. I don't care. Restaurant. I don't care. It's all about the same thing. Who gives us the most certainty? And you guys have to really refocus, because you think you're selling a product. We don't know what that product is. We're not qualified to break down that product. You know, if Aaron comes, and I'm only using Aaron because I know Aaron, if Aaron was going to come to my house to do some work, I'm not saying, well, gee, Aaron, is that the right kind of saw to use? Is that the kind of 2x4? I have no idea what I'm talking about. But if he comes in, he's bobbling around like he's, God, I don't know what I'm doing here. Guess what? He's out. And that's with all of us. So there are 5 key human triggers that create that sense of certainty. And these are called how to emotionally influence people. This is, if you get this down and you know how to do this, you're going to become so successful. This is how to sell certainty. Number 1, authority. People want to work with an expert. You know, it's like being a pilot of an airplane. I don't want to hear the pilot say, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into some bad weather. I hope we're going to be okay. I don't want to hope. I say, we will be fine. That's the certainty and the authority that you must have with your clients. Even if the certainty is, I just don't, I can't give you an answer. I don't know, but be certain about it. So the words like using I hope, I think, I wish, those are weak words of authority. You have to have the I know attitude. Not that you know everything, but if you don't know something, say it and find out, be resourceful. So authority is number one. Number two is, which we talked about before, is significance. The way that we make decisions on who we like and where we're going to is how significant a person feels. Now, it's interesting. I'm going to show you how significance works. They did these social tests, and I'm really more from a science perspective, a scientist. I study this stuff. This is really interesting. They tested restaurants when you used to get a mint on top of your bill. Remember I don't know, sometimes I don't know if they still do that. And they realized that if the waitress or the waiter left one mint on the bill, they would get an increase of like a 3% tip over the normal tip they would normally leave. Now, if they left 2 mints on the bill, the tip amount wouldn't double, it would actually triple. It would go from 3% to 9% of the original tip amount that they would leave. Now, here's something really interesting. If the waiter or waitress went over to the table and left 1 mint and then came back and says, but for you fine people, I'm going to give you the extra mint, the tip amount went through the roof to 24% higher on the tip than originally would have offered. Just by giving and presenting and making a person feel significant. The hardest thing about being in business, in anything that you do, is you want to meet the expectations of your clients. And you know what the expectations of your clients are? Perfection. You have no other life. You have nothing else in your life that matters. I am the client, and that's all I really care about. And that's the way people think. And especially if they're going to hire you and really engage with you, and they say, you make me feel certain. What's a beautiful thing about making a person feel significant? There's slack. There's slack on that. I just lost you. Hang on for 1 second, everybody. Okay, there we go. There's slack on that. People can forgive you. That restaurant that makes me feel great. If they mess up a meal, I'll forgive them. If a restaurant I go to that I have no significance and they mess up a meal, that's the last time I'm going there. So significance can greatly help your business. So far we have two. We have authority and we have significance. The third law of influence or emotional influence that matters is called social proof. And how does social proof work? People make decisions based on a herd mentality. So the reason why I'm going to hire you is most likely somebody in my sphere or herd of people that I respect use you, or they go to you, or that I see that a lot of people go to you. Oh, so-and-so goes to you. That's the best doctor. That's the best person. That's the best business person, best accountant. And that's how we make decisions. We make decisions not on your resume per se. We make decisions based on who else goes to you. And it's really important that you promote that or you show that in a way that you do that. I remember many, many years ago when my wife at that time was pregnant, I'm divorced, and we went to the obstetrician with a gynecologist, and on the wall was little postcards or letters of all the babies that they delivered, and it was filled. And I'm like, oh, this is a great doctor. Look at all the babies they delivered. And that's exactly how we make decisions. So you have to think about that and how you could use social proof in your favor, how you can use your success and promote it so you can let your client base know, hey, come to me, I'm successful. And this is a great time to plan that because now you could really dig deep into it. The next law of influence is commitment. And this is where a lot of people mess up. It's almost like dating. We meet a potential client or customer or patient, and we have a conversation. And we request from them something that's a little bit too much of what's called a high commitment. People are more comfortable committing to small step commitments and then leading up to a bigger commitment than going from a small commitment all the way up to a major commitment. Here's an example. If I met one of you out there in the street and say, hey, Gary, that was a great thing you did for us. It was really good, whatever. I said, great, we should get together sometime. Now, you would probably say, sure, that sounds good. Then I would follow up and I would say, great, how does next week look? Yeah, next week looks pretty good. How does Thursday or Friday? Oh, Friday's great. Let's do 11. Perfect. You see, started wide, got a little bit narrower and narrower and narrower. If I said to you, if we met, and you said, Gary, that was a great presentation you made. We should get together. Great. How's Thursday at 3? I think you're going to feel, whoa, it's a little too pushy, right? People don't like pushing. People don't like to be sold. I don't care what you do. Believe me, if we feel that you're pushing us too much, we think that, yeah, you just want the money. I think anybody who's been to a doctor and they send you for a bunch of tests, you start to think, yeah, they're just making money on the test. And that's really what happens. So you have to really start out with the lowest potential commitment. Then you build up almost like a stairway of commitment. And if you do that, what's going to happen is people are going to be more comfortable engaging with you. Because even if you ask a person and you pressure a person and ask them a high commitment and they say yes because they feel pressured, and then when you call them up to follow up, they're gone. They don't answer the phone. And I think we've all experienced that. So it's almost the art of commitment. The last law of influence is called scarcity. We always want what we can't have. And people who are busy are the ones we want. People who don't have time are the ones we want to have time. So scarcity is a very important thing to promote. If you're naturally busy, you have no problem. But if you're not busy, if you think I'm going to engage with my clients and make them feel that I am always available for them, that will backfire on you like crazy. Show some scarcity. For example, if someone says, listen, could we talk tomorrow at 11? Say, listen, can we make it 11:15 because I have another client in the morning that I'm finishing up first? Show that you're busy. You're available, but you're not always available. And again, let's go back to dating. I think the number one rule to women, I told this to my daughter when she was in the dating phase of her life, if a boy asks you out on a Friday for Friday night, I'm busy. I think we all experience that. And that's really the key. Got it? So the 5 laws of influence that's going to enable people to have the perception of you for their number one need, which is certainty. Especially now when the world is uncertain. Certainty is so needed. It's the water on the desert, and we are thirsty. We're thirsty for certainty. You provide the certainty, people will flock to you. You provide the uncertainty, we will move away from you. The 5 laws, once again: being authoritative, speaking and sounding like the expert. Number 2, significance. Making people feel significant, that you care about them, not about you. Number 3 is social proof, also known as the herd mentality. People want to do business where they know that people like themselves, other people like themselves, have done business. The 4th law is commitment. Small yeses. Little steps up to the big yes. And the 5th law is scarcity. Be available, don't be overly available. Now, I want to wrap up this little section by this message. We have an issue, a human problem. We like to be liked. We like to be accepted. The difference between a business relationship and a friendship is that in a business relationship, you must maintain the authority throughout. In a friendship, authority is shared. Here's the challenge. When you're too nice, when you're going to be too giving, when you're going to go out of your way too much, your authority diminishes. There's a balance. You have to do just enough to make them feel that they're significant, but make sure you don't do too much to where it dilutes your authority and expertise. If people are coming to you and having a conversation and they need some of your help, give them the sample of the cheese. Don't give them the whole cheese. Don't give away your stuff for free. Because what you're telling them is that you're not that valuable, and guess what? They're not going to find you valuable at all. Helping other people, absolutely, but don't be taken advantage of. The idea is to look at yourself and ask yourself, am I being used or am I being utilized? And the difference is, if I'm being utilized, there's a fair exchange for my time. If I'm being used, then I'm giving away too much information. So many times people will ask you questions and they have no desire to hire you because they know you're going to give them all the answers. And you don't request anything in return. The thing that you always must ask is that for every request, you give away something for free. But if they ask for more, pay up with some commitment. I see too many people in the business world wanting to be liked. You want to be respected, not liked. And there's a difference. The reason we like many people is for what they do for us. I like my neighbor Bob. You know why? Because he lends me all of his garden tools. If he decides he's not going to lend me his garden tools anymore, don't need them, don't like them. That's the way people think. It's sad, but it's true. But a person that we respect is a person we go to, is a person we trust, is a person we will pay top dollar to. So make sure that on those kind of things about yourself personally, learn to say no. Boundaries. And once you learn to say no, there are those people that are going to be pissed off and don't want to deal with you. They weren't going to pay you in the first place. They were going to use you, not utilize you. And then all of a sudden, you're going to attract the people who are going to utilize you, people that respect you, people that are going to utilize you for your services. And then that's the way you build up your inner business and you build up your inner confidence. How are we doing so far? Any questions? I know people posted some statements and questions. Honestly, I didn't have a chance to catch them because I was focused on sharing my information. So let's take a deep breath. Whew. And if you have any questions, if Aaron, you're back out there, you want to.
Yes, I seen one question come through from John Paul DeVerna from DeVerna Law. John Paul, go ahead. You'll just have to unmute. I just unmuted you. Go ahead.
Hi, Gary. Thank you so much. And Aaron, thank you for setting this up. My questions were two. Regarding social media posts, my concern with doing them right now is that people's concern is about themselves, and really, even if they want to move forward in certain respects, they can't do anything now. So I don't want to just be putting insensitive or what could be perceived as insensitive posts out there that really they can't act upon anyway. And that invites me to my second point of my question, which is, are you inviting clients to take action at this point, even if there's little that they could do?
Absolutely. And so thank you. Now I'm going to answer those two questions. It's really hard for me to advise you on exactly what kind, how to design your posts on social media, because I have to know more about your business and what your clientele is and do a complete evaluation. So please understand that, right? I'm speaking more globally than individually when I say that. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to give you an example. of why it's really important that you keep present on social media. Yes, there are people out there who may be not looking to move forward in anything right now, and they can't, maybe just for logistically reasons, they can't do it. But what I want you to think about is, I remember this, I don't know if you ever experienced this. You ever go to like on a business trip and you're at a hotel and you don't want to eat at the hotel restaurant and you don't know any good restaurants around, so they always have that little magazine in the hotel room, and you open the magazine, you start seeing the local restaurants, and then you pick out a restaurant that you want to go to for dinner. This is like 3 in the afternoon, You finish your morning meetings, you have a couple of hours before you're going to have dinner or something and whatever. That's what this is about. This is a time to allow those people out there to get to know you, to get to want to do work with you, and when, to basically get to know you better, to engage with you. Right now, in a lot of our businesses, as far as our normal interaction, our normal transactions that we do with clients, the light is red. And we have two choices. When the light turns green, we could be at the dead stop at the red light. You know how that is. And then start from a dead stop. Or we can have momentum that when the light turns green, boom, we just accelerate. So whatever little you can do to create momentum moving forward. And by creating that, and someone just said that, trust marketing. It's trust branding, by the way, just to clarify that, the right terms. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to that. Is really to keep your business in a moving, fluid situation. It may not be at the pace or the style that it was before. And again, I don't want to recommend what you should be doing because I have to evaluate what you do. But generally, the idea is the light is red. When it turns green, you want to be moving already, so you accelerate up rather than being at a dead stop and then you got to just slowly get going. Does that make sense? And I hope I answered your questions. So that's the reason why, because now people are getting to choose and they're going to remember what it is that they're going to do. The other thing is and the other thing also, you're making a huge assumption. You're making an assumption that everybody out there in the world or in your social media sphere, you're already putting your thoughts on how they think. Okay? The reality is everybody is in a different situation. Everybody's in a different boat. And, whatever business or what kind of business do you have there? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm an attorney. I do all things lights and sirens. So I do criminal defense work, civil rights litigation, think false arrest and personal injury.
Yeah, okay, good. So, basically, people are stewing at home. Domestic violence is up right now. Am I correct? People are being emotionally triggered to do things that they wouldn't do. And, some people are going to freak out and you don't know what the situation. Maybe somebody had something that's small and now they're thinking about, I did that, I get caught, what am I going to do? A lot of stuff goes through people's heads. They magnify everything and they're going to need you. So, just put yourself out there. You don't have to be an ambulance taper kind of mentality, but, just put yourself out there and let people know that yes, the store is still open. I am receiving phone calls. I am reaching out. Those are the kind of things to do. And if you have past clients that you helped and worked with, definitely reach out to them and see how they're doing. So absolutely. Is there any other questions that we have?
So, Gary, we do have another question. JP thinks, and if anybody does anything irrational this week, give John Paul a call. So, anyway, Francis Tumbankaris from Francis Interiors. Francis, I think I have to unmute you, but
I am.
There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So I have two questions. Question number one is, you mentioned earlier that our clients have expectations, and as I am growing my business, taking coaching and reading a lot, is when it comes to business or service and relationships in general, that there shouldn't be any expectations, that we form agreements and we follow through with agreements. So this is one point that I wanted to ask about our clients, to have expectations and perfectionism. Question number two is that my profession, I'm an interior designer, is a relationship-based profession. I go out there, open houses, networking, real-life events. So the idea of when we come out of this is to put more projects in our pipeline. I feel a little bit stuck because I'm not able to hone or develop new relationships. It is very hard to ask strangers for coffee via Zoom or convince teams to watch one of your presentations and things like that. So I'm a little bit, as I want to reinvent myself, and being a relationship-based profession is how moving forward with this.
So let me. Who's your business audience? Who's your real business audience? Is it who is it,
Manhattan
like,
homeowners.
Okay, Manhattan homeowners, and what are they doing right now? They're
Well,
home.
some of them fled the city. The ones that have.
Okay, so they all right. No, I know that, but okay. All right. So do you have a list, a mailing list, or do they follow you social media on it at all?
Some of the older crowd is not big on social media. Some of them also didn't like their projects to be posted on it because of privacy.
So what you want to start to do is figure out a way to get in front of them with some of the things you do. And nothing is greater than a before and after picture of some of the work that you've done. Okay, once again, the person is sitting there looking at their apartment or thinking of the apartment and saying, damn, I love my apartment, but it's so ugly, it needs to be redone. And, things like that. So, people really want a distraction, and you can just do something before and after the work that you've done, just as a visual kind of, not selling yourself, just providing some visual entertainment. And then they're going to see the work that you do. And the fact that you're not in front of these people in some medium, either social media, emails, videos, or whatever the case may be, is really terrible, because now these people are home, or they're out in the Hamptons, or they're up in the country homes, because my clientele, services that same bunch. It's all, you need to get in front of them. You need to be in front of them. You need to position yourself in front of them. So the personal interaction, absolutely. But you also need to have the bottom foundation layer, which is social media, emails, videos, the things that are one directional out. That's the things that you really need to focus on and get that done more. So yeah, don't feel that because you can't meet with these people that you can't you can't influence them in other ways, because absolutely you can, and there's a host of things that you can do to do that. Any other questions out there? Do you have any books or podcasts that you can mention similar to some? Yes, that's Brittany. Yes. So I study science, human behavior science. I'm not one of those people that just follow trends because everybody else says to do it. I'm, it's a science-based thought process that I bring to my clients, and I'm able to break it down into a common sense, a way of doing it, so this way they can apply it. There is a book called The Science of Persuasion. I think the gentleman's name is Dr. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. If you Google it there, Science of Persuasion, that is a great book to read. And he has another book called The Science of Persuasion, which is interesting as well. So those are the two books I highly recommend. And that gives you the real nuts and bolts. It goes really deeper, which we can do, but it goes into the type of things we went over as far as that goes. What I want to know is, was there anything that I shared today that you disagree with? Was there anything that you said, okay, that I totally disagree with that? Good. If there is, absolutely. Can you type the name of the books? What I will do is this. I will send it to Aaron after our Zoom session, and he can send it out to everybody out there. I can share that information as well. Is that okay, Aaron? You can do that?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Mental conditioning, building up your inner confidence. So I'm going to give you 5 little steps of how to build up your inner confidence and how to stay mentally conditioned. This is the stuff that I've used with my professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and top business producers. Because basically, if you're in the business to produce, and that's how you get paid when you produce and perform, it's all a confidence game. Number one, it's only 5 simple steps. Have the I know attitude. So basically, is that when somebody asks you a question and you're going to respond, if you know the answer, state it as a fact, and don't state it as a wish or a think or a feel. Number 2, never celebrate your success. I see too many people land a deal, get a big client, and they really celebrate their success. You have to act as if it's expected. And when I get pushback on this, that you can acknowledge, you can feel good about, but don't celebrate it. Can you imagine that you're a passenger on an airplane and the plane comes in, it's a bumpy flight, it's fine, the plane lands, the passengers applaud. Can you imagine if the pilot came out, high fives everybody, yeah, we landed. Would you feel very confident about flying on that plane? I don't think so. Number 3, so we're not going to study our success, but we're not going to celebrate our success, but most definitely study your success. We always focus on what we did wrong, but we never focus on or understand what we did right. And you can't scale something up and do it on a consistent basis at a high level unless you know that what you're doing, you know the ingredients of what you're doing. What am I doing that's working? Why are people doing business with you? And you should ask yourself that question. Why do people do business with me? Why do people trust me? What am I doing right? Yeah, I'm knowledgeable. We don't know you're knowledgeable until you're engaged. But what are you doing right to attract people to make them engaged? Fishermen know more about what bait to use to catch certain type of fish than we know what bait to use to attract clients. Find out what you do right, and that's the key. Number 3. Or is it number 4? Number 3. When people pay you a compliment, say thank you, I appreciate it, and shut up. Don't explain away the compliment. Don't dilute the compliment. Be grateful. Be appreciative, absolutely. But own it. Let it sink in. Because that's the point. I mean, we talk about influencing other people. The person you're influencing the most is yourself. You're listening to the conversation you're telling yourself all day long. And that conversation is going to either, raise you up, put you down. If you don't like the way you're talking to yourself, change the conversation. That's totally in your control. Next mental conditioning tip, practice the 3 Fs. When you do mess up, when you do blow a deal, when you do, have a adversity, it happens to all of us. You practice the 3 Fs. You find it, you fix it, and you forget about it. Find out where the mistake is. Make the adjustment. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Sometimes it's just timing. And then you forget about it, move on. Don't dwell on it. And the last thing I want to say is know your audience. We're in a world where comparing ourselves to everybody else is so easy. We talked about social media. We talked about, all these different ways that I can look at every other company. So if you're an attorney, it's easy to see on TV, and it's easy to see on social media and everything else, every other attorney. Interior designer, construction, accountant, dentist. It's so easy to say, wow, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? And the reason is, and the thing that we have to understand is this. If you're a country singer, be a country singer. Don't sing hip hop. And if you sing hip hop, don't sing country. Everybody has an audience. Everybody has an audience of type of clientele that they naturally gel with. Not everybody out there who's a potential client is going to be in your audience. It's okay. There are people that are in your audience that are not in someone else's audience. But you have to really know your audience. So if you know your audience, and there's so many different dynamics. It's economic audience. It's price points. It could be so many different things. But once you get to know and really go deep into your audience, that's where the referrals come from. That's where your business grows from, is from your audience. It doesn't grow on trying to convert, Democrats to Republicans or Republicans to Democrats. It gets from really knowing who's my audience, who are the people that like working with me, and if you really study, you're going to see a pretty much of a common denominator, and that's how you build your marketing. That's who you market to. You market to your audience. Don't try to market to everybody to like you. Market to the people that are your audience. Does that make sense? So I just want to say in conclusion that during these uncertain times, and during these times of will this end, and it will pass, I'm hopeful, and actually quite I'm a bit of excited, because greatness and great things, and I've seen this with businesses all along, become bigger and better after adversity. I don't know how many of you were around for 9/11, and I was. Downtown Manhattan no one wanted to move there. It was terrible. We said downtown Manhattan would never be as good as it was. No, it wasn't. It's better. It's a hell of a lot better. Downtown Manhattan is so much better now than it ever was before 9/11. So when we have adversity, there's an old saying, and this old thing from science. When the forest burns down, the regrowth is always thicker and stronger. Remember that. So don't get stuck and don't feel bad and don't buy into that whole thing. It's tough. It's adversity. Get up. You've gotten up before. Get up again. Keep moving forward. The way to keep moving forward is to act forward, is to think forward. What am I going to do? Where are the opportunities? This is my business plan that I had all along. You may have to toss it out the window and say, where are the opportunities now? What do I have to adjust? What do I have to accept? What do I have to evaluate? And where do I have to pivot? Thank you very much, everybody. This was a true pleasure. If there's any questions out there that I can answer at the end, absolutely. Aaron, I want to thank you very much for inviting me in to share this with your tremendous group.
Harry, thank you as well. And I just wanted to, well, before I even get into that, Francis, you did have one more question, right? I'll unmute you.
I had a question about, I was taking notes about the mental conditioning. Number 2, do not celebrate the success.
Right.
My number 1 source of referrals are real estate agents. They're the ones that open the doors with their buyers and sellers, and they say, oh, you should work with this designer. Same thing for Aaron, you should work with this contractor. We are being constantly bombarded. I sold this, I sold that. And it's a way for them to staying in mind. Or I seen interior designers I admire. Oh, we got published today at Architectural Digest. Oh, I got published today at Elle Decor. Isn't that celebration of success? Is that inappropriate?
No, that's stating a fact. No. Celebrating is this. If you got a job to do for, a penthouse in Manhattan, to redo the whole penthouse, right? And you're like, oh, I can't, and you go back and you say, yeah, I got it. It's the way that you're telling yourself, and you celebrate, I'm so great. Look at me. I got a new client. This is wonderful. Isn't this great? That's a celebration. What they're doing is they're stating the fact to people. They're self-promoting. Self-promoting and celebration are two different things. And again, I'm not a big, self-promotion to a degree is important. Don't overdo it. There are people who just can't help it. But, the idea is that when you get a big project and if you accept it, people go, wow, that person's confident. I think Ty had a question.
Yes. Ty, go ahead. Let me unmute
you. Thank you so much. That was really great.
Thank you.
One tidbit that you shared that really resonated with me is that you're not looking for people to like you, you're looking for people to respect you. And I really struggle with that. I'm always looking for people to like me. And when it comes to my employees, that's often at odds with being effective. Even with clients as well, sometimes you have to not be so nice to get the best results. So do you have any advice psychologically for how to break out of that trap of please people all the time and
absolutely
that respect mode?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and you're you know what you're going through. You know, in my practice of clients, you know, what I focus on is really their mental foundation, right? So if you don't have the right mental foundation to be respected, but to be liked, whatever you do, it's not gonna be as effective. The best way to do it really is learn to say no more and not feel guilty about it. One of the things you have to understand is, Ty, what I want you to do is I want you to look next to you right now. And you know who's sitting next to you? Your business. Your business is who you work for. That is your boss. So when you say no to somebody, you're doing it for the benefit of your business. You're not doing it to hurt them. And if you give away too much, right, then what happens is your business becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and it makes it tougher and tougher for you to do whatever it is that you do to help a lot of people. So learn to say no, and especially employees. You know what? Employees are great. They're going to love you in the beginning. Next thing you know, they're going to take advantage of you. Next thing you know, I was only 5 minutes late. Now they're 10 minutes late. They're 15 minutes late. You know, listen, can I get a raise? You know, things are tough. And they learn how to play you. You know, just understand boundaries, 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 boundaries. It's really important. Any other questions out there?
We have another question coming in from Jim Kroll. Jim, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? You know, I'm a mortgage banker. How are you? Thanks, guys, for putting this together. It's been great. Some refresh, but also some great key pointers, too. I just want to go over the mental conditioning just to make sure I had my notes right. The 5 steps. I know attitude. No, never celebrate success. Study success. When compliment is given, just say thank you and move on. And then the 3 Fs. I got that.
Yep.
Just want to make sure I got that because that was really poignant. I do want to say the same thing with the question around Francis Tumbacaris is, you know, I ask people for online testimonials and thank yous after a closing. That helps build my SEO.
Don't do that.
Don't publicize that.
No. Don't ask everybody for that. That's a form of manipulation.
Oh.
No, you can if you need like a few. You don't need 100.
All right. Well, I have 100 already.
And yeah, you don't. No. You obviously no. If you need a few, that's fine. But when you ask somebody for a testimonial, and they give it to you, then what happens is, like when you do a good job for somebody, look, when you do a good job for somebody and they really feel like, thank you, you know, I didn't think I was going to be able to finance, I wasn't going to be able to get this loan, and you really came through and you made me feel great. Thank you so much. They feel obligated, it's a law of reciprocity, to want to tell the world, because they need an outlet to do it. If you do not give them an outlet, they will then tell the world how great you are. If you give them an outlet, then all that obligation to share how great you are is used up. And that's what a testimonial is. When you ask somebody to ask for a testimonial, you're giving them an outlet for all that pent up desire to yell to the world. There were studies done that people who give testimonials are less likely to refer than people who don't give testimonials.
Wow.
Because they feel they met their obligation. Yeah, because they met their emotional payment for the great job that you did. Do you get that?
Oh, heck yeah, man. I got goosebumps on that one because I've been doing that for years.
Yeah, don't do that. Absolutely not, you know. And, you know, there's other reasons too, which I don't really, just don't do it. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole thing. I have another call coming up in 10 minutes, which I have to prepare for. This was really great. Aaron, they are very fortunate that you stepped up to the plate and that you put this together for them. It shows you really care, which I always knew. Hope we'll meet again sometime down the road. If there's any questions that you have afterwards and you want to, contact me. I'll give you my email address. It's
Gary, I just want to say, very clever there that you have a call coming in 10 minutes, showing that you're busy, not too available, but available. Very smart move, I think.
Right. But it's actually, I do. It's the truth, I do. My email,
Good
my
one, Carl.
email
Good one.
address. Okay, let's mute everybody now. My email, I'm talking. My email address is gary@garyparks.com. That's GARY@GARYParks, PARKS.com. And if you want to Facebook me and message me there, or Instagram or LinkedIn, it's Gary Parks, or reach out to Aaron. But so if you have any other questions that come up, or something you think about, or something you need some clarity for, feel free to reach out. But I want everybody to stay safe. I want everybody to stay busy and stay healthy and stay sane. And Aaron, you too. We'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody.
Harry, thank you again. Thanks everyone for
All right.
joining us.
Bye-bye now.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.